She left food on purpose in the closets. I never forget, she put a Lunchable in the closet. So by the time I got into the property, there it was flooded with bugs, ants, like, and then she changed the locks on the door to make it even more difficult for me to get in. Welcome to Soft Life, Hard Truths, where lifestyle dreams meet bank account realities. I'm your host, Tegan J. Come on in. I want you to stay. Hey, y'all. How y'all doing? How is everybody doing? How was your week? Was it good? Was it bad? A little shaky, a little rough. My week was okay. I went to this entrepreneurship networking mixer yesterday, and it really has me fired up, y'all. There are so many things I want to do for the business, for the podcast. Like, I'm so happy I went. Yeah, so this has kind of shaped my week. I'm excited. So where everything else may have been bland, blah, that mixer really got things moving for me. So I'm kind of in a good mood. So yeah. Yeah, but if your week was tough, I hope it gets better. And if it's been a good week for you, I hope it gets even better. Okay? All right, y'all. So, we got a couple good topics today. We're just going to go ahead and dive right on in. Let's not hold back. Really good topics. Okay. The cost of entrepreneurship. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Nowadays, everyone wants to be a business owner. Everybody wants to work for themselves. Everybody, ultimately the ideal is they want freedom with their time and unlimited, money, right? And that is amazing. That is one thing that I aspire to have myself. But we have to really take a step back and look at entrepreneurship and what it costs you. So let's just start from the basics, right? Depending on what your business may be, you may incur quite a bit of startup costs, right? So let's just say you are a esthetician. You want to get your own practice going. You're going to have enough money to, one, go get licensed, right? Then you're going to have the money to go and either rent out a room or a booth or open your own storefront, which takes money. And not only that, you have to have some type of insurance. And then people have to have a way to find you. So you have to have your web page, your landing page. All of those things can add up, and they can add up very, very quickly, especially in the beginning when you're just jumping off. So if you are out there and you know that entrepreneurship is for you, and you just got to get away from your 9 to 5, please keep in mind that you want to think about finances before you just jump off the porch. That is something that you really want to consider. Maybe sit down and come up, not maybe, but you need to sit down, come up with you a plan that you're going to execute to. And not only do you have to deal with these startup expenses, you have inconsistent or delayed income. So when you're working in your 9 to 5, right, that check is guaranteed. You know that whatever your pay period may be, some people get paid once a month, twice a week, twice a month, or once every week. Or some people may get paid every day. I've never had a job where I got paid every day, but I mean, it happens for some people, right? You know that you're going to get a paycheck according to this rhythm, whatever that may be for you. And you depend on that. You base your spending around that. You base what you're going, your activities around that. It's all based on you knowing that this money is coming in on this date. With entrepreneurship, it is not so much straight and narrow like that. You, especially in the beginning when you're just getting yourself off the ground, you have a lot of bumps in the road, and it takes years for a lot of businesses to even be profitable. I'm talking years, especially in the food industry. Food businesses fail so frequently. It takes a minute to turn a profit. That is something that you have to consider. Things may be very slow in the beginning. So how are you going to accommodate for that loss of income from your 9 to 5? That is why you have to plan for these type of things. You can't, it is not wise to just jump into something and you don't have a plan together. And I get things can't always be perfect. They won't always be perfect. And I get that you may be in a toxic situation that may not allow you to wait any longer. You just have to go. Everybody's circumstances are different. But what I'm saying is, if you can plan, create a plan and execute to that plan. It will help you be more successful and help you when you have those highs and lows in your business, especially in the beginning. And just think about it. If you're used to your business, let's just say you've been in business for 3 years now. You're used to your business every month bringing in 50K. You're going to live your life based off that 50K, right? That's what you're used to. That's been your average, profit every month. And then all of a sudden, business tanks a little bit and that 50K drops to 30K. Now you got to figure out, how are you going to account for that 20K loss? Versus if you had your 9 to 5, that money was coming, no matter what. So those are things you have to consider with entrepreneurship. And then let's talk about time, cost, and burnout risk. A lot of people think, when they think entrepreneurship, they think, oh, I'm going to have freedom with my time. I can do whatever it is that I want to do. I'm going to go to Venice. I'm going to go to Greece, and I'm going to go and do this and that. And I'm just going to be living life while my business is making money. That isn't the case all the time, especially when you are starting out. You can ask any entrepreneur. A lot of times they are putting in more hours for that business on a daily basis than they would if they were at their 9 to 5. At your 9 to 5, once you're done, you clock out, you go on about your business. When it's your business, your baby, not so much. You're always thinking about it. You're always trying to find ways to improve. You're always thinking about, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. Your business is always on your mind, where you might have had okay, I'm getting out of here at 3 o'clock today, something popped up. You got a big client coming in. Now you're working till 7. That is so common with entrepreneurship, especially in the beginning, before you get your rhythm down, before you get, your processes automated and all those things. You spend a lot of time with your business. Get the 8-hour work day out of your mind when it comes to entrepreneurship, because you're going to exceed that for sure. Those are things that you have to consider. Then you also have to consider the burnout part of it, right? In essence, being a CEO, an entrepreneur, you are in charge of, especially in the beginning, heavy on in the beginning, you are in charge of everything. You're in charge of everything. So you have to be the marketing person. You have to be the payroll person. And I'm not saying that you cannot contract these things out. You absolutely can. But how do you do that when you don't have any money in the beginning? A lot of times you have to be a jack of all trades in the beginning, which can cause burnout. So for all the entrepreneurs out there, people thinking about getting into entrepreneurship, just consider these things, right? You want to make sure that you come up with a good, solid plan so that you don't burn yourself out. You don't want to do that, because then you burn yourself out. You don't even want to even try anymore with the business. It's just, now you're just saying, forget this. I'm just going back to my 9 to 5, and now you're just done with all your hopes and dreams. Don't do that. Put yourself in the best position possible. And lastly, you have unexpected hidden costs. Depending on what type of business you are going into, you may have certain requirements to operate your business. Like, you might have to be insured for so much money with your business. That's something you may have not been expecting. You may have to get you an attorney, have an attorney on standby, and I'll talk about that later. You might have to have you an attorney on standby. These are things that you don't think of when you think of your business, but these are unexpected costs that you may incur. So when we think of entrepreneurship, yes, it is a beautiful thing, especially when things are going well, but let's consider all of the costs with it, right? Financial and work ethic wise. Like, let's consider it all. Opportunity, let's think of it all when we think of entrepreneurship. So these are just some things that you guys might want to consider when you're thinking about entrepreneurship. Okay? Next topic, speaking of entrepreneurship, Let's talk about rental properties. Rental properties, real estate. So, I am a landlord. I dabble into rental properties, and it is a lot that comes with it. I know that you will see on social media people tell you, oh, the quickest way to build wealth is you got to buy homes, you got to get homes, you got to get properties, you got to get properties. It is not as easy as they make it seem. Oh, you just get your one property and then you flip that and you go get your two more properties and then you flip that and now you got six properties. Now you're making all this money. It does not work like that. It does not. There is a lot that comes with rental properties. First off, you have to make sure that you can afford a rental property, especially if you already have your own home. You have to make sure that your finances are good and can allow for that. I think I told you guys before, when I first moved into the home that I'm in now, I had issues. But in addition to those issues, I had some major repairs that I had to make to my rental properties. And these repairs, first you have to get into the property, right? You have to, for those of you who don't own a home, we will have to look at, the home buying process. And next week I'll have a real estate agent on and we'll go through that process and she'll give you details of what that is like, right? But first we got to get to the buying table and we have to procure the property. That takes money. That takes thousands. Unless you are in some type of first-time home buyers program, you are going to have to come to the closing table with quite a bit of money. I'm talking thousands, especially in today's time, right? Interest rates are still high. The cost of the homes are still through the roof. All of that aids into you having to pay more to even get in the home, to even get the keys, right? So let's just say you've gotten your rental property, and now what? Is the property move-in ready? If it's not, that's more money to get the property ready to be able to move into. And then you may want to be able to do some upgrades to the property. That's more money. That's more money. You have to pay more money to be able to get into to make upgrades to the property. And then once you get in, you have to make sure that you are able. One thing I encourage people, I tell people that are interested in rental properties, I always tell them, whatever you do, you need to make sure that if you do not have no one living in those properties, you are still able to cover your personal expenses and the expenses that come with this property, because there will be downtimes. And what I mean by downtimes is there will be times where periods of time where you do not have a tenant in. Whether that's you just had a tenant move out and now you got to go in and make some major updates, or you're having trouble even getting people in because things are slow right now. Families tend to move around certain times of the year more than they do others. I believe that families typically move more so in the summer than they will like the winter time, fall and winter, because the children are normally still in school. So you will have periods where the property goes unrented. Can you handle that mortgage payment? That is very important. And on top of that, you need money for repairs because things will go wrong. It is no question about it. Things are going to break, things are going to go wrong. And once that happens, your tenant will be looking at you to fix it and fix it quickly because they're paying their rent on time. And that leads me to another point. You have tenants. You have to vet your tenants. I'm going to do some episodes that focus on renting out properties and what it looks like being a landlord. It'll come after we sit down with the real estate agent to tell us how do we even get into the property. But yes, you have to screen your tenants. You have to make sure that you are moving in a good tenant. Or when I bought my property, there was already a tenant in there. I didn't get to choose her. She was already in there operating under her lease. And when that tenant moved out, oh man, did I learn a lesson. It was my first tenant. I just bought the property. Maybe like a year or two afterwards, the tenant got upset about a couple of things. And man, did she mess up the property. To get that place back livable, it cost me thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. She intentionally damaged the property. I'm talking about when she moved out, she left the windows up. It was a really rainy day. She left the windows up so that the rain could get inside of the property. She went in, she untwisted all of the knobs on like the underneath the sink. She left food on purpose in the closets. I never forget, she put a Lunchable in the closet. So by the time I got into the property, there it was flooded with bugs, ants, like, and then she changed the locks on the door to make it even more difficult for me to get in. You will run into, there is a probability that you will run into tenants who don't care about your property. They may be upset with you about something and they will intentionally damage your property. Yes, you may be able to take them to court and recoup some of that, but that will take time. You will need the funds to be able to immediately go in, renovate, make the repairs, make the upgrades, and get that place back on the market. Because the longer it takes you to do that, the more downtime you have, which means you have a property sitting that's not bringing in any money. So it is a lot to renting homes out to people. Now, some people will say, well, I'll just get a property management company. I'll get a property management company. Just like you have to screen tenants, you have to screen your property management companies as well. There are a lot of companies out here that just want to collect their percentage of your rental income, and they could care less about the property. They don't care who they move in. They don't care how the tenant keeps the property up. They don't care. As long as they're collecting their money every month, they could care less about your property or the tenant. There are a lot of property management companies out there like that. So you have to be, even if you have a property management company, you're going to have to be hands-on. You have to. You have to, or personally hire you some people to be hands-on and help manage those properties, depending on how many you have. I have enough properties to where I can manage them myself, but if I got any more, I would have to go and seek some type of assistance. So it's not all, it is not, do not think that renting homes, rental properties is considered to be passive income. You have to get very active with these properties. Sometimes you have periods more than others where you have to really get down in the weeds, but yeah, you have to get active with these rental properties. Absolutely. So more to come on that, and I'll tell you guys more about my story with that horrible tenant in another episode. But yeah, guys, it got really ugly. She damaged my property so bad. I don't think I've ever been that mad at a person in a long time. I had pure red anger in my eyes because of how she did my property. I just couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. But that is one thing that you have to realize. Landlords, some people like landlords, some people hate them. It's like a double-edged sword, and you could be the best landlord in the world, but if you still don't give that tenant what they want, they don't care. Some of them will damage your property. So it's really just a luck of the draw. But with screening, that will help. That will help with making sure that you screen properly for your tenants. Okay, last topic. Since we're on the topic of real estate and buying homes and rental properties, let's talk about HOAs. HOAs, guys. So HOA stands for Homeowner Association. Are you guys a fan, or do you hate homeowners associations? Let me know in the comments. Tell me, which side are you on? So let me just give you the definition. A homeowners association, HOA, is a nonprofit organization within a residential community that manages and maintains shared areas and enforces rules for residents. It acts as a governing body responsible for maintaining common property, establishing and enforcing rules, and collecting fees to cover community expenses. How do you feel about HOAs? Personally, I am kind of split down the middle, and I will tell you why. The neighborhood that I live in does not have an HOA, and there are times that I really wish they did. I can tell that some of my neighbors are renters, and it is just something different that you'll notice about some people that rent. Not all renters, but it's just sometimes you just notice that they just really don't care about the property. They just don't care. One thing that I will say, like for my neighborhood, I noticed we have specific days where you can put larger items out on the curb that will not fit in your trash can. That is once a month. A HOA would be perfect when you have your neighbors that are putting couches or chairs or furniture on the curb, and it is not even time for them for the large item pickup. It makes your neighborhood look trashy, and I absolutely hate it. It is a pet peeve of mine. I hate it. This is where HOA will come into play. I mean, it would be beautiful because none of that will be allowed, and I will be okay with that. Because one thing you have to keep in mind with the HOA, it is going to help keep your property value up. And as a homeowner, that is what you want. You want your property value to continue to rise. You do. And so HOAs aid to that. But then you have crazy situations where the HOAs, the members, the board members, they just get out of control. They literally go in and they nitpick or they bother people. Those type of board members of the HOAs, I think they have too much time on their hands, and I think they have too much power. Anytime you're nitpicking with someone, I think I saw maybe a couple of months ago where there was this, I don't know what state, city it was in, but it was a HOA association. They were forcing their residents to leave their garage doors up. You could not close your garage door. That was a rule. You cannot close your garage door. That is absolutely insane, and I would not stand for it. I would not stand for it. And so because of different things like that, I'm kind of in the middle. I don't know. And then also for those who are unaware, with an HOA, you will always have HOA fees. Some of them can be lower, like you have some, their HOA fees, they're strictly to cut your front grass, and that's it. Then you have others that do more than that. Especially if you have like a community pool, play area, tennis court, things like that, that is for the upkeep of that as well. So it could really vary in how much you pay for your HOA fees, which is normally monthly. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. If I had to lean toward a yes or no, I probably would lean toward I am for HOAs as long as they are within reason. As long as it's nothing too crazy, I think I would be for it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment. Are you for or against HOAs? Let me know. Okay, so we covered our couple of topics. Now it is time for the finance column. So here's the advice that's coming from Tegan today. Guys, times are getting crazy right now. There's so much that is uncertain. And so with all of the uncertainties we have going on, it is more important than ever to make sure that your finances are coming together. You got to get to a place where you are bare minimum stable. Not saying you need to be excelling, and just the richest person on earth, but you need to be stable. And so the first step with that really is building you an emergency fund. I know you guys have heard of an emergency fund before. An emergency fund is separate from your savings account. This is money that you should not touch only in times of an emergency. And that normally should be 3 to 6 months. That is what is typically taught to people, 3 to 6 months of all your expenses. So you would need to sit down, write down every expense that you have every month. Everything from your subscriptions to your light bill to your mortgage to your car note, insurance, write all of that down, child care, all of that. And then total that up, and that is the amount that you would need every month to stay afloat if for some God forbidden reason your income was to cease. And you want to times that either by 3 or 6 starting off. I encourage a year's worth, but I know that that is, especially in these times, it can be really unrealistic. And so it is best to just start somewhere. If you can just start with 3 months, do it. Make that a priority. We got 6 months left in the year. Make that a priority. Try your best to go in, hey, take that total and see, break it down to, hey, I need to save this amount every month so that I can have 3 months worth of expenses saved up. You're going to feel, and when you do it, you're going to notice that you feel better. You feel better because you know that you have a cushion in case things really hit the fan. You have something to fall back on. Now, you want to continue with your savings account, please. But build that emergency fund. It is critical, especially in these times. So many people are getting laid off. It is just so much going on. Finances are key right now, guys. It is key. So please, if you can, just sit down. If it seems too much for you, the first starting point is just write down all your expenses that you have for the month. Close the book, come back tomorrow. Now that you come back tomorrow, look over everything. Make sure you're not forgetting anything. Close the book. Next day, review everything, take it in, then total it up. And then the day after that, you go in and you come up with you a plan to how you're going to get at least 3 months. And if 3 months is too much, just start with 1. Long as you start, that's all that matters. As long as you start, you can do this as long as you start, guys. So remember, emergency fund, emergency fund, emergency fund. Okay, now we are going to get into the new segment that was introduced last week, the Hard Truth Hotline. So this question was not emailed. It was sent over by a friend, someone who is needing assistance. So we're going to read and see what's going on. Okay, so it says, "Hey Tegan, my oldest sister completed your finance program last year. Okay, and I'm wondering if you can give me your opinion about a situation I could use some advice on. Honestly, I totally underestimated the amount of work and money in being a landlord. A lot of people do, guys. A lot of people do. I fell trapped to all the podcasts saying to buy a single family or multifamily. I got a good deal on the single family back in 23 for $90K. Okay, that's pretty good, depending on the area. Yeah, it wasn't in the best of. Oh, it wasn't in the best of areas though. Okay, I financed another $90K to get it sellable. We had many issues. Problem is, the house appraised at 165. I'd be in the hole if I sold it. I thought it was best to rent it, but couldn't get more on it than 1,100 due to the area it's in. Between principal, taxes, PMI, and insurance, the tenant isn't covering the full mortgage per month. Now she's having leaks in the bathroom. Next, the AC is going in and out. I'm going further and further into debt with my 2 different high interest rates. My savings is dang near depleted. I'm at my wit's end. Any advice?" Ooh, my friend, this is a tough one. This is why I really tell people, do not go and get another property if you cannot handle that mortgage payment on your own for quite some time, because things like this can happen. So in your situation, if the tenant's portion is not covering the entire mortgage on both loans, then you are going to be faced with the hard choice of you're going to have to either supplement that yourself, or you're going to have to do a short sale, or you can try increasing the rent, maybe getting another renter in. You want to make sure that what you're renting the property out is at market value. Make sure you're not beneath. And what I always do, I always get with my real estate agent to make sure that I am on par with the market value, because you could be shortchanging yourself there. In the event that you are at market value with the renter that you have in there, I would consider a few options. If you're not ready to sell, which this is not a good time to sell. The market is not good right now. It is not a seller's market. It is indeed a buyer's market, and we will talk about that next week. Um, so, if you could possibly hold on, I would hold on, but I would try a different avenue. You don't have to just rent your property out to one tenant. You could look at maybe something along the lines of a group home. You could rent out rooms. That is a thing now. Renting out rooms is a thing. If you cannot rent out rooms, maybe try Airbnb. You're going to have to try multiple avenues in order to get that income that you are missing. In the event that you cannot make up for any of that, then you may have to go ahead and put the property up for sale. But I would make that my absolute last option. And then look at your interest rate that you have right now. Compare it to where interest rates are right now. So when you bought the home, does that interest rate, is it lower than what's going on right now? Because if not, refinancing may also be an option. I know we don't want to run through our savings. I completely understand that. And then another question I have for you is this oh, you said it was a single family. Okay, a single family. Yeah, you're gonna have to maneuver this thing. You're gonna have to try different options here. You may have to get that tenant out and raise the rent so that it can help cover those expenses. You may need to look into other options, looking at renting out rooms, Airbnb. And if that's not working, you might have to get really creative and maybe, something out of the box like a content room. That is really popular right now. People are renting out content spaces. That could bring in tons of money. There is a market there. I've seen it done over and over and over again. So my advice to you would be to sit down, figure out, look at your numbers, look at your interest rates, look at what's coming in, look at what you can afford. And if none of that is working out, I want you to explore these other options, renting out the rooms, the Airbnb, the content spaces. Consider all of those, and you're going to have to just try different things until something works for you to where you get the money coming in that you need. And if all else fails, then you would indeed have to sell the property. And if it comes down to that, make sure that you get with a well-experienced real estate agent that will help you through this process. Good luck, girl. This is a tough one. And I personally would not want to deplete my savings for a business venture. So I know that you're probably super stressed right now, but just hang in there. Think logically. Don't think with your emotions. Just think logically and zone in. You will find a solution. But those are things that you consider that I brought up. So I'm wishing the best for you. I hope it all works out. Okay? Please circle back and let me know how things are going. All right, guys. Well, we have come to this time. It is now time for the hard truth of the week. We got to end this thing off proper. Hard truth of the week. Only when you are fed up with your current circumstances is when you will implement change. Only when you're fed up with your current circumstances is when you will implement change. Let's talk about it. Have you ever had a friend that was in a toxic relationship? It could be a guy friend, a girlfriend, but they were in a toxic relationship, and it was just hurt after hurt or frustration after frustration. And that friend will talk to you and vent about it, but they will go right back to the person. They would just go right back. Eventually, something clicked in them to where they're like, you know what? Enough is enough. Enough is enough. I'm not about to keep going through this. That is what this hard truth means. When you are tired of being sluggish and being overweight, and eating bad, when you're tired of your skin being bad, when you're tired of not being able to breathe after going up a flight of stairs, only then when you are fed up is when you will make the changes that's needed. When you're fed up, when you're really sick and tired, then you will get up and start exercising. Then you will watch what you eat. Then you would drink more water. Then you would move your body every day. When you are truly fed up is when change is on the horizon. But we have to get, a lot of us have to get to that place where we are just, I'm tired, I'm fed up. When you've had enough of that boss or that manager talking to you crazy, when you've had enough of being overworked and underpaid, when you've had enough of those things, then you'll go out and you'll find your new place of employment. Then you will go out and you will take a leap of faith on you and your dreams and starting your own business, entrepreneur. Then you will make the changes that's needed, but you have to reach your fed up point. When you're tired of being sick and tired, then you'll change. Until then, there's not much really people can do for you. Nobody's going to convince you or change your mind or something. You have to convince you. You have to desperately want to seek change. And when you do, that is when you will start changing. It's as simple as that. I don't make the rules, guys. I don't make the rules. I don't. I don't make the rules, guys. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for your time. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and commenting. Guys, please take this, share it with somebody that you think can benefit from it, somebody that will find it entertaining. Let me know in the comments how you guys are liking the show. I'm open to all of your feedback. I appreciate your time, your support, your love. This has been an amazing journey thus far. I am looking forward to continuing on with you all and building this community, this family. So guys, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Thank you. All right. Well, we know what time it is. We already know what time it is. We will not leave here without a celebration, okay? We will not leave here without a celebration. So, here's to softer living and truths that set you free.